Hello, welcome to Staring Down the Storm, Autism Advocacy in America. I'm your host, Tabitha Ziegler. All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. I'm here with Jen Wiese, and I'm going to let her just take it away because she's got plenty of interesting things she wants to talk to us about today. You can tell us all about your company, however you want to start.
All right. Well, maybe we'll start where we're sitting right now. So we're sitting in our warehouse, which is located in Noblesville, Indiana. So middle of the United States. I'm a born and bred Hoosier. I grew up in Fort Wayne. So just a little bit north, an hour and a half north of here. And so I was the middle child. I have a brother on either side of me, and just, grew up in middle class, Midwestern family.
City dweller in the countryside?
City. Okay. Yeah, we lived in the suburbs. So, but my grandfather had a dairy farm in the country. So I got my little slice of country life every Sunday as we would go visit him. So, and chase the cats in the barn and all those kind of fun things.
The typical Hoosier childhood.
Yeah, I think so. Very loving family. I was very, very blessed with loving parents and just a really great, warm, supportive childhood. I went to Ball State for college, studied fashion design and merchandising and marketing there. And then I got the itch to live somewhere else other than Indiana. So I moved to Florida and worked for a department store there, lived with a college roommate, and it was really great fun. And it was a really intense time for learning for me. Who am I? How do I view my life? All those things in your early to mid 20s that are happening. And so part of what happened while I was there was I grew homesick. Really, I really enjoyed being independent. I loved that time of my life, but I really valued Midwest, just the culture of the Midwest. And so I returned to the Midwest in my mid to late 20s and took a total different change. I went to work for a hotel. Okay. So I was a sales manager for the Hyatt Regency, and which was a really fun time in my life as well too. I got to dress up and drive downtown Indianapolis every day for work, and that was really fun. And it was also a time for me to really hone some new skills for sales and marketing, and I had a lot of success. So that was really fun and exciting too. And then I met my husband, and we got married just before I was 30. And then we started having babies. So I hung up my hotel hat and put on my mom hat, and we had 4 babies in 5 years. Wow. And all boys. So it was a very demanding, as you know, time in life, being a mom. And
now, did you guys plan it that way?
We did.
Okay.
Yeah, we did. So my husband is an only child, and he's like, I want to have a big family. But, at the time I was 30. So I'm like, all right, well, then we should get busy. We should go then. If that's what we want, then we should go. So, so we did plan it that way. And my husband was a new car dealer at that time in Kokomo. And we're living in Noblesville. So, he had a long week, a commute and a long week of Monday through Saturday work. And so those were challenging times too, a lot of alone time, but definitely very blessed as a family to be able to have time together. But then so in 2007, our oldest son was diagnosed with autism.
Okay.
So that took us on a whole different journey.
And how old was he then?
He was 8. He was 8 years old. So I might have the math a little bit wrong. So, but generally.
Just to give the viewers a little bit of a compass, because, everybody gets diagnosed at a different rate and how that works.
For sure. And he'll be 30 next month. So, this was a little while ago. Right. the diagnostic, practices and methods definitely were not what they are today.
Right.
So today's world, he would have likely been diagnosed much sooner and much younger. But we just didn't know what we know now.
Right.
So, so we started looking at, okay, autism, number one, was foreign to us. We didn't know, we didn't have a family member with it. We didn't have friends. It was totally foreign.
Right.
We knew only what we saw in movies and the media. And those were primarily extreme cases.
Right.
So we were, shell-shocked, of course, and looking for information, hungry for information, like how do we live our lives?
Right.
How do we live our lives knowing what we know now? How do we support him? How do we live as a family? How do we give him the best chance at life? And so we just dug in deep and really searched for information, and there wasn't a whole lot. There just wasn't. And what we did find was not empowering until we went to Vancouver. We found an autism conference in Vancouver, British Columbia, and we went, and there were our people. It was heartwarming, really. People of all walks of life, moms, dads, grandmas, teachers, scientists, nutritionists, everybody was there under one roof for one reason, to support the one they loved with autism and to give them the best shot at life. And so that was really transformational for us. And it also was confirming that we weren't alone.
Right.
Because we were feeling so very alone. So one of the things we learned there was about food and about good, holistic food, how food can nourish your body from the inside out, and how to look at food as medicine, specifically gluten-free, no junk, no artificial anything. And so we're like, okay, well, that seems pretty realistic, right? We're pretty realistic people. That sounds like something we could get our hands around. And so we stopped at the grocery on the way home and found this teeny tiny little section. Because, there again, gluten-free. We didn't know anything about gluten-free.
Right.
Nobody in our family needed to eat it to stay healthy and alive.
And this was about 20 years ago.
Yeah, it was.
So that was a different world back then,
it was
too.
A very, very different world. And so, so we were curious. So we bought everything. We bought everything. And we ate half of it on the way home. And it was terrible. It was awful. It was so awful. Like a cookie might have said cookie on the package, but it tasted like cardboard.
Yeah.
And the ingredient list was like this big of, things I couldn't even pronounce. And I was like, okay, if this is gluten-free, this is not going to be from me and my family. But I was still curious. So I enlisted my mom, and she and I together just started creating and recreating favorite family recipes.
Interesting.
And not as a cure. I'm always quick to say, we never looked at this as a cure because, as you know, there is no cure right now for autism.
Or there may never be.
Or there may never be. But today, I don't know of one. And so we looked at this as a support system. How can we support him and make his body work at optimal level? And that was one thing that we found. And so we went through literally years of testing and experimenting and recreating, and our dog got really fat because he just got all the scraps.
You're like,
there you go. That was Gracie.
Okay. So Gracie.
It was put on a gluten-free program. Yeah. And she was happy. Luckily, she was a very active dog. So that was really good. But that was our introduction into gluten-free, and that was where we got started with gluten-free. I never ever intended in the beginning for it to be a business. I just looked at it as a way to help support my family,
right,
and also a way to include my son with the rest of the family and the rest of society. Food is so celebratory. It's not only our lifeline, but it's also celebratory. So many things we celebrate in life are based around food.
And it's cultural as well. So
and it is.
I think it's really interesting that you brought your mom into it and that you tried to put your own spin on it.
Yeah. Well, I needed support, and she's my number one. So And she's really comfortable in the kitchen. I've grown up with her and my grandmother in the kitchen since I could stand.
So your mom's still around then?
She is.
She's still involved with the
85.
business?
She is.
Oh, good for her.
She lives like 3 miles from here.
Nice.
And so she often will pop in and say hi to our trainees when we're having
And
a
check on
training
you,
program.
make sure you're doing it right.
Exactly. So yeah, so she so it's sweet that she can still be a part of that story, and we get to show her off, and she's just adorable little white-haired 4'10" woman.
So this is a multi-generational business.
It is, yeah, it is for sure. So our sons. So when we found some recipes that were like, oh, this is really good, and then I started sharing it. Our boys at that time were in school, and they were super involved in all kinds of activities, mostly sports. So because he was on a gluten-free diet and gluten-free wasn't mainstream, I would take gluten-free food everywhere. Or I would provide, if they had a end of the year football party or whatever, I would always volunteer to provide food so that he would at least have things to eat. And I would make the same thing for everybody, so he wasn't eating a separate plate of food, which was also really important for me too. Yeah. For him to be included. And for him, he was always probably feeling very, very different already. Sure. Yeah. The last thing I wanted to do was to separate his food and make him look even more different from everyone else. So that was really important for me from the very beginning, to create food that was made with clean, simple, gluten-free ingredients that everybody could enjoy.
I think it's interesting how you did it too. I think this is also a very Midwestern thing. It's like, I have this idea, and I don't want to force people into it. I just want to expose them on an educational way that they can get behind.
You're so right. That is such a Midwestern thing. I mean, now that, looking back, now that I've been in the consumer packaged goods business in food for 15 years, I see some of those things. I see the differences. The Midwest is not a massive food hub.
Right.
So there aren't as many food manufacturing facilities here in the Midwest as there are in the coastal areas. And so just having some exposure with some of those other brands and those other leaders in the industry, there are definitely a lot of personality differences, and my Midwest personality shines through a lot in that I'm very subdued. I'm a helper. You know what I mean? And those I feel like are very much Midwestern roots.
I say that because I was out east for a while, because I was flight attendant for a while, and I was based in New Jersey. And so I had quite a few friends of mine, 20 plus years ago, that were going vegan and things of that nature, which, similar to gluten-free,
yes,
was very, very different than what I was accustomed to. And so it was interesting, the approach. It was like, right, you must be vegan or you're not. And I was like, what are the people that are curious? Like, can you go like a little bit?
Can I dip my toe in that?
Yes. Can we try?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I mentioned that, because it's just interesting how all of that works. And I think it's much more effective if you approach people in a subtle way that doesn't seem to overpower them, like overpowering flavors. Not everybody's down for like chocolate lava cake. Maybe they're more of a snickerdoodle sort of person,
Sure. Right.
I think it's interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. So, once we had some recipes and we had confirmation from our immediate community, we did some farmers markets. We, as in my mom and I. So every Friday, we'd load up. Yeah. Grassroots. We would pack everything up Friday night so we could head downtown Indianapolis Saturday morning and put our things out for the people to tell us what they liked and what they didn't like.
And where did you pop up first downtown?
It was the Winters Farmers Market.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that still exist?
It does, but it's on its like fourth location.
Okay.
So when I joined, it was maybe the first year that they had ever done it, first or second year. It was in a building that was under construction. It was not heated, concrete floor, just very, very bare bones. So we were wearing winter coats inside a building, but it was just, but it was, people from all over the state. People would drive hours. Vendors would drive hours to get there to sell their goods. And it was, I mean, I love those days. Those were days where our customers would stand right in front of us and tell us what they liked, what they didn't like, what they'd like to have next week, things like that. And we sold out every week.
Okay.
Every week we sold out. And so that to me was, all right, people need this. They not only want it, but they need it. And and where are they going to go if they don't get it from me? Where are they going to go and get it?
Right.
So like, I mentioned I have a helper kind of a personality. And so that really fed that part in me, not just taking care of my family, but helping other leaders of their family take care of their family.
Right.
And so
giving good options.
And and we need more options. We still need more options.
Right.
We've come so far, but we still need better options. And, people need to have access to good, nutritious, delicious food that won't break their bank. It's not right that things that are healthier are more expensive.
Right.
So we've been fighting really hard from the beginning to level that playing ground, to drive our costs down and do the best we can to offer, reasonably priced food, especially now. I mean, food is so expensive.
Oh, yeah. So how do you guys partner then? What type of partners do you bring in? Because obviously you deal with a lot of nuts and things of that nature.
So my husband, actually, this is a family business. So my husband, he is in charge of all our procurement. So he sources all of our raw ingredients. He works with our manufacturing facility, which is in Michigan.
Okay.
And coordinates all of those logistics. So he, over the years, has found partners for quality ingredients. We're really focused on basing as many of our ingredients in the United States as possible. One of the
I was asking, I was curious.
Yeah. One of the few ingredients that we source outside of the United States is coconut, just because it's not grown here. So we source that from Thailand.
Okay.
And they don't use pesticides or
so you have sustainable
like
practices.
We do. Yes, we do. So he's developed those relationships over the years, and we have really strong partners. So the same thing with our packaging, our boxes, our transportation, all of those pieces. He has developed relationships over the years that we can consistently get what we need at a high quality.
Okay.
And when we need it.
It's important.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I think there's something to be said for when you have a business and you're able to control some of those factors and have a lot of say in what goes into your product and who you deal with to maintain those good relationships, that good communication, so that you don't let it get out of your wheelhouse. You guys can really kind of control what your mission and what your dream was.
Yeah. And for the most part, we are able to do that. When we work with distributors who distribute our product, they have a sales team all over the country. They distribute our product into different retailers. That's where we lose some of that control, right? But it's really a necessary part of the process if you want to grow into a national brand.
Yeah.
I can't continue to, hand deliver,
of course,
all of our customers. So we rely on our distributors to do that heavy lifting for us and to help get us into, some additional doors across the country. But for the most part, like, I am involved in those meetings with our decision makers, with the buyers that are deciding, do they want our product? Which do they? So I'm involved in those meetings, so that at least we can continue to maintain the relationship and the control of how does that all go down, right? So, yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about your products, because I know we were speaking about different flavors and things of that nature. So I'll let you talk more about what products you offer, the type of ingredients that there are, what flavors you have.
Yeah. So really want to portray our family through our products in the store and on our packaging. So each of the names of our products are named after a family member.
Oh, nice.
So, for example, we have Augie's Original. So we have 3 different products right now. We have our Warrior Snack Mix, which is a granola cookie-like of a snack. In most groceries, it's either available in the granola section or it's with like trail mix, nuts and seeds, that kind of thing, because it's made with nuts and seeds, but in a chunk style. So it's like finger food. It's like on the go, grab and go finger food that you can take with you. You don't need a bowl and a spoon to eat it. And so it's all based around simple plant-based ingredients. Everything you can identify, you can pronounce all the ingredients on our ingredient label and trace it right down to the earth. So,
well, the reason I'm asking some of these questions is I know a lot of my friends are involved in like ecotourism, sustainability, and I have a lot of friends that are in a lot of different types of travel type industries who are always looking for snacks on the go that have good quality ingredients, have a high shelf life. But I think there's a big drive right now to support businesses that they believe in, that their mission aligns with how they see the world. And your business seems to check a lot of those boxes for people. So.
You know, I'm glad you brought that up because a couple of years ago, we did some rebranding. And one of the big, bold moves we made, and it was a game changer for us, is we had like a little small disclaimer on the back of our package previous to our current packaging that said, a portion of your proceeds go to help support autism in communities all over the country. We're like, you know what? That is really the heartbeat of our company.
Right.
And so that should be on the front so that people can identify our brand and our product as somebody who rolls a little different. Like we mean a little bit something special, a little bit something different. And so we created this little blue circle that says Autism Jobs Provider on it. And we put that on the front of all of our packaging. And it instantly created conversation, which is what we hoped it would do. But there's a fine line. Like when you're working with grocery store buyers, they want to know, number one, that your product is desirable as from a consumer standpoint.
Sure.
So they want to know it's good first. Like it tastes good. It has all the hot spots that consumers are looking for today. Gluten-free, clean label, plant-based, all that stuff. And then you have a social mission that comes right alongside of it. So it's a delicate balance between the two. We always want to lead with good food.
Sure.
It's really good and tasty and will support you in all the ways. Oh, and by the way, we also support our autism community by providing job training for them as well. So that is a super delicate balance. But because we live this world and we're not somebody that just picked up on that as like this shiny object that, we could make more sales if we grab onto this thing. That's not us. This is our real life. And we have authenticity in the story and the life that we've lived with our son with autism. So that I feel like is where it really shines through. And people can feel and sense and tell that. And they see that through our social media, of stories and messaging with me and our son and things like that. So it definitely comes from a very authentic place in my heart.
Yeah, I think it's super important because I think we've spoken a little bit about some of the things that I do. And we seem to have a lot in common that way.
We do.
And I think, when you have kids, it doesn't just have to be autism. It can be, any disability, really.
Yeah.
But there is this drive to, if you cannot find a way to get them included in things, to create the spaces of inclusion. And so when we talked a little more, I was like, oh, okay, like we have a very similar view of the world.
We do.
With how we handle our children and, what sort of mark we want to make on the world for them in the future. Like we're trying to build things now that will survive us, that will outlive us, that hopefully our kids can grow with or maybe manage one day.
Yeah, I just got full body goosebumps when you just said that because it truly is, it's at the heart of everything I and we do at BeeFree. It's all with the thought of how is this making somebody's life better? How is this enhancing someone's life? how is it setting up someone else for success? How can they be the best that they can be because we did this one little thing that provided them an opportunity? And if that one little thing is, oh, now they have access to good, tasty food that supports their gluten-free lifestyle, great. If that one thing is they got inspired and they don't feel alone because they saw a message or they engaged with us, in a meaningful way, in a conversation or through just a message, that we sent out, that's great. If they can be part of our Autism Job Training Center and they can build their job skills and be employable by the time they leave our program, that's golden. I mean, that's truly life-changing. Those kind of things, truly provide someone with a better life than they had before. And that's better for all of us because as a parent, you and I both know with children with disabilities or not, the thing that we think about every day is what happens when I'm not here. How will they survive? How will they live their life meaningfully and to the best of their ability and not be taken advantage of, and all those things that we can spiral into.
Well, I think it's every place does it different. I've traveled a lot throughout the world. I know you have as well. In one way that I think that America has always kind of shined a little differently is, or maybe we are also misunderstood for this, right? Especially in places like the Midwest. You are very much, you and I and people in this area are the get your hands dirty sort of people. And I think it's really important for people to see people like us and many different walks of life that have these ideas and then they go with it and they stick to their mission and their goal is the longevity of it. Especially right now too, because we're in a kind of a shifting sphere of things.
Right.
And it's just refreshing sometimes to see people, when things are shifting, double down and be like, right, okay, we know things are different. We know things are changing, but this is what we're about. And this is what we're going to stand for and stand to or for our community or what have you. When we're speaking about the future, like for your son and the other participants in your program, what do you hope the world may look like for them in, say, 20 years here through the type of programming that you're providing?
I hope that it is just natural. I hope that it is natural for employers to want to include people with disabilities in their workforce. I hope that's just not, because there's so much stigma around it right now, and there's so much hesitation because of fear of the unknown, I think is the biggest one. And I hope that all those barriers are broken down and that it's just how we roll and that, employers just look at the available job force as what it is, whether there's a disability or not. That's what I hope for. And I hope that that people with disabilities are able to be seen for the shiny people that they are, right? And I just hope that we can break down some of the stigma and some of the negativities that have gone up around people with all kinds of disabilities, not just autism.
Well, it seems like you do a lot of advocacy. So let's dive a little deeper into your advocacy and ways that you really try as an individual, as well as your family and your business, try and advocate for things like this in the community.
Well, one of the things that we have done this year is we created a lemonade trailer.
Cool.
And so we did that just for that reason, because we want our community to buy into this. We want them to see what it's like to be served by somebody with a disability, and to get that, just to get comfortable with it. Let's just get comfortable with it, right? They're people. They have hopes and dreams and goals, just like the rest of the world, and they deserve to be treated with dignity and with inclusion, and with a paycheck, right? So that's one of the things that we did, and it has been So much fun.
Did it take off?
It has taken off. That lemonade, that little shiny yellow, golden yellow lemonade trailer has been out in our community 2 and 3 times a week since May.
Nice.
And that will continue through the end of October.
And if a business was, because I know a lot more businesses are getting used to this idea of the food trucks and that. If a business or another nonprofit entity, what have you, if they want to employ your services for that lemonade truck, how would they get a hold of you then?
Yeah, so we have a website. So it's BeeFreeBakes.org. So all the information is there.
Everything that you do, your umbrella organization, everything filters through BeeFree.
Through BeeFree, BeeFreeGF.com is our website. And then there is a tab there to learn more for BeeFree Bakes. And then we have a separate website in addition to for BeeFreeBakes.org. Okay. So, so you could just go to BeeFree and find everything you need to right there. Or you can go specifically to BeeFreeBakes.org and find out information about our training center and our lemonade trailer. Or just follow us on social media on Instagram or Facebook, BeeFree. And you'll find a schedule of where our lemonade trailer is going to be and other special events that we support. We support a lot of autism and other disability events, mostly in Hamilton County because that's where we live. But throughout the state as well. I also serve on the advisory council for disability for the state of for the city of Noblesville. And that's a really incredible organization that we're just bringing awareness to the needs of the people that live here and how do we make it a place to live, work, and play for everybody. So
I think that's important. I've got my hands on a lot of things. I think you do too. And I think I'm getting to that point now where I might have to start saying no. And that's actually making me feel uncomfortable because I think all of these things we're talking about are so important. And the drive right now, it couldn't be more important now, with certain programs rolling back and whatnot. And I think, those of us that see into the future, if you will, nobody wants to go back. And, you're a perfect example of like an idol for me to look up to because your children are older. Your child is a success story. Your family made it. So I think it gives the rest of us hope when our kids are small, like, we're fighting, we're treading water, we're doing whatever we can. But not just that, that you guys, the OGs, if you will, are willing to come out and talk to us and say, hey, this is what we did. Maybe you can, tell us some of the mistakes that you made and say, hey, save yourself some time. Don't do this. Like, if I can give you a shortcut or, maybe some people may listen to you and just talk, just talking about what you're talking about, a light bulb may go off. So I appreciate you coming and being able to have this conversation with people.
Well, I do too. I mean, I really do too. I'm really, really thankful to get to know you better and just to share. And I think that's what it's all about. Feeling alone is not the way we're supposed to live. We were never intended to live alone, isolated. But so much of the disability world is isolating. It just naturally is. So, if there are ways that I can help, folks not feel alone, feel like you mentioned, there is hope, right? I've been there, done that. Of course, everybody's journey and story is different. Of course. But there's a lot of power in sharing our stories and our struggles. And, I'm pretty much an open book. You can ask me anything. I'm happy to talk about the hard times, the good times, all the in-between times. And I think that's really valued in this day and age. Everybody kind of wants to put on a pretty face, like everything is great. And my life has been, roses and puppy dogs. And for most people, that's just not the reality. There have been really, really hard times, and the hard times help us really appreciate the good time. But having somebody like me who has older children, who has come through to the other side. I still say I haven't fully arrived yet. I am getting better every day. That's kind of my motto, like better today than yesterday. But that really kind of helps me frame up the day too, that, maybe put some reality into the day. Like every day is not going to be perfect, but I'm going to do the best I can to get through it.
Right.
And to make meaningful relationships. And I don't know, that's just, I'm trying, to get better every day. So.
Yeah. Well, I know we spoke a little bit about hard times, and I think, the viewers might like to hear a little bit about some of your hard at the beginning. You did say you had 4 children.
Yeah.
That you had them really close together. It kind of sounds like you were sort of a single mom for a period.
Yeah, I really was. I mean, just because of my husband was working out of town 6 days a week. So yes, I did have a lot of time on my own. Yeah. So those were exhausting days, the earlier days. I think, probably, I don't know. It's hard to decide whether they were harder when they were like babies, and everybody needed me to change diapers and feed them, and, or when they were getting more independent and August had his full on, diagnosis of autism. And then we knew more. Those were really hard times too, and just managing all of that was difficult. And then having 3 other children that had needs too, different kinds of needs. Those were really very, very difficult times. Our youngest son spent his first 11 days in the NICU.
Okay.
And so, that was hard too, because then we brought him home with a apnea monitor, and they didn't know what was wrong with him. He was having silent seizures.
Oh.
So central apnea, which is a message that goes to your brain that says, you can stop breathing now. Just stop. Don't make any noise.
That's
don't
terrifying.
flutter. Just stop breathing. So so for the first year of his life, he was on an apnea monitor, and I don't think we slept a full night in at least a year. But he thankfully grew out of that and spent the next 3 years in therapies to kind of overcome some of the delays that he had because he was on phenobarbital, which delayed his whole body. But to see him now, he's 6'3", he's thriving young man. You would never know.
Yeah.
So I guess all that to say that, a lot of my early days with my children were spent in doctor's offices with all 4 of them, because I didn't have any family that lived here. I didn't have anybody else that I could say, hey, can you keep my kids while I go to? So we traveled in a pack of 5 everywhere we went. And so those were really hard, and they're boys too, right? So just spend an hour in a waiting room. I always had a bag of tricks with me, but, and snacks.
Well, let's talk about this bag of tricks, because you met my children. Wild heathens. I love them, but, and I'm sure they come by it naturally, because to be honest, when I look back at my family, I think we were all raised a little bit like, we're in a farming community.
Yeah.
My family's been here since it was Indian territory. Very much that, get in the dirt, figure it out sort of family.
Right.
And, just different cousins on both sides. It was always a little bit of a madhouse. And I look at my kids, and then I hear stories about myself, and then also the parents that say, oh, yeah, we told you, you were going to get one as bad as you got 3.
Right. Yeah. Lucky you. Aren't you blessed?
Yeah, but it's interesting, though. And in a way, I wouldn't have them any other way.
Yeah.
But it can be challenging, especially with Koa, because, when I have a boy-girl set of twins, and he was the eloper. The quiet, stealthy eloper.
Oh, yeah.
And that is terrifying.
It is terrifying.
Did you have one of those?
Oh, my gosh. Well, August, what instantly popped into my mind was a story that one day we were at the soccer field, and we're all together, right, until we're not. And August is gone, gone. It's a busy soccer field, right? Okay, so I go to the worst place, right? Somebody's taken him, and I will never see him again, right? But so the whole soccer field, I've enlisted a whole group of people to look for him now with me, and we found him. And then the soccer game ends, everybody leaves, and still no August. So I'm like, we're walking the perimeter, and there he was at the very end near the road, playing in a puddle right next to the parking lot. And when I asked him why did you leave me? Like, where did you go? I heard the train. There was a train track that ran right along the side of the soccer fields. He heard the train, and he went to go see if he could find it. And now how he got away from it, I don't know. But, if you've ever experienced something like that, it happens in an instant. In the blink of an eye, they're gone. And it was like, I can take myself right back. I know exactly what he was wearing. I can relive the whole thing. It was the most terrifying.
I think things like this are important to talk about because I think, people that do not have children with any sort of a disability, they're quick to judge.
Yes.
And I won't speak for you, I'll speak for myself, but the amount of self-restraint it takes to maintain the calm, because, it's not going to do any good if you get hysterical, but, everything is just shooting inside you and you're petrified. But you have to maintain that calm to either enlist the help of others or strangers or keep your other children calm. So you can look.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, being completely terrified of all of the different things that could happen.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that, I don't want to say it never happens for men, but I hear it a lot from women.
Right.
And women still tend to seem to be the primary caretaker, especially of the disabled children. And then when you start to talk about things like elopement, special interests, and, maybe it doesn't occur to them, or maybe they don't have the language skills. Communicate, hey, I want to go see the train.
Right.
But they hear it and they just go.
And off they go. Yeah.
That's a whole different world from, you told your 5-year-old to stay by you and then they decided to go play in the clothing rack.
Exactly. That's, completely different.
Yeah. So that's why I was asking you about some of that stuff. Because I agree with you. My children are still young. But there are moments still that I might have a nightmare about. It's not intentional. It just comes out of nowhere. And then you kind of like wake up in the middle of the night because you had this image in your brain.
Yeah.
Or you'll be walking through your day and all of a sudden, boom, that memory will hit you and it just like takes the breath out of you.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. I know I have another story about just kind of being judged and being embarrassed and feeling less than. So we're off to the doctor's appointment. So all of them are in the car, right? It's winter, in the middle of winter. So, and of course, I'm in a rush to get there on time. So we pull into the parking lot, like pull that thing in park and get everyone else ready to get out of the car. And August has no shoes. No shoes.
In the vehicle.
No. He just, in the rush of getting into the car, no shoes. So off we go. And he's too big for me to carry him, right? Plus I have like probably one on each hip anyways, And so off he winter, snowing, barefoot, into the doctor's office.
Yeah.
How do you think I felt? Moms, the whole place is packed. Of course, 10 o'clock, the place is packed. So, yeah.
Well, I have one that doesn't like to keep her clothes on. And it's a little funny at home, right?
Yeah, when you're summer too. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, sure.
That's why I mentioned she's had the pleasure of experiencing or the wildness of my children. But we were, there were a bunch of moms together and one of these events that you could bring your children to, which I'm often in this position where, either I don't want to ask or I don't have anybody to watch them. And so I brought the troop with me.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they're naked children. Well, diapers.
The diaper on. She was okay.
Yeah. Everything but the diaper is gone. 2 of them. And I instantly know those were my children. So I just see skin like go this direction. I was like, oh, here we go. And I could just, all of that, typical mom or parent guilt.
Oh, right? Yeah, but I hope you didn't feel that from us because you were in a safe place.
Right. But you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
That reaction of
it's automatic.
Here's my kids. Here are my kids doing the thing, embarrassing me. Even though I think we all work really hard on ourselves to know they have disabilities and all this thing. But I think it's almost innate in women, especially where you kick into having to make excuses.
Right. Like, why do they do that? Why are they not perfect?
Yes. And so that is something that I struggle with. And I'm still navigating that, but I'm doing a better job of trying to suppress that inside myself and put my children and myself in situations that are more beneficial to them, where
You're
I
smart.
don't have to do that.
You're really
And
smart.
I'm starting to say no more and trying to navigate that better, because I noticed about myself when I get really angry, because we all do, when those type of things happen and you're just like, kid, why did you do this thing? After some reflection, it may not happen right away. And I'm definitely no saint. I will be the first one to tell you, like, not a saint.
Oh, come on. I see your halo up there above your head.
Drive by my house on any day, you'll be like, what's going on there? No, but we're talking about real life stuff. Like, I'm not going to pretend, I want to make it relatable to all of you at home that we're like you. We're not going to sit here and pretend that it's something that it's not.
Right.
So yeah, when I would get angry at them and then have some time to cool down, it would hit me at some point. I'm like, right, they were just being themselves. They were just being kids. And part of their autism is XYZ. And that's not their fault. And it's actually not even really wrong.
Right.
Maybe you need to rethink the atmosphere you're putting the child in.
Right.
So there are certain things that just don't work for my kids. And, I told you about the nonprofit that I run. And a lot of that went into that thought process when I would put them in the car and they were driving me crazy at home. And I'm like, oh, I got to get out of here. And the only thing I could think to do was let me just put them in the car and take them for a ride anywhere.
Right.
And just pull them out of the car seats, change their diapers, put them back in, all that sort of thing. Just stay on the road for a while to create some sort of peace. And that's how I got the idea of some of those events, because we'd be driving around and I'd see what they liked. I'd stop. Like, I did that at this alpaca farm.
Oh.
We had an alpaca event.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
oh, that's
year.
cool.
And so I was like driving around, and we did this road trip to Connecticut last year. And they really like alpacas and llamas.
Okay.
Why?
Do they have a bunch of them out east?
There are more alpaca farms in Ohio than I was aware of.
No kidding.
Yeah. So we saw this sign. I cannot remember which highway, but we're driving along and I see this big sign that sells alpacas. And my kid's like, look. I was like, right, okay. We're trying to go see this alpaca farm. Same. Just pulled into this lady's driveway.
Right.
Like, yeah, I hope this is right. First driveway? No, it was somebody else's, but they gave us directions. Very Midwestern. Right?
Yeah.
Went over there, just take this turn, follow that boulder. So we drive in this lady's yard, and I just go up to the house. I knock. I see that there are llamas and alpacas back there. This could be a little weird, but my kids are committed now.
Yeah. You're all in.
Yeah. So I find the lady, and she's like, yeah, absolutely. You can come in. It was like 100 degrees. My kids look like little beet red tomatoes on their face, but they loved it. And, we were in the stall. Well, not in the stalls with the alpacas, but, in the barn. It's dirty. There's hay, whatever. And my kids just thrive in that sort of environment. They love animals. They love being outside. They are a little crazy. They're like my barrel of monkey.
Yeah.
It doesn't always work for me to say, take them into a museum.
Right.
Maybe in the future. But right now, that's just not their jam.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to cater to what works for them. And along the way, I'm thinking, there are more kids like this. It can't only be my children.
Right.
So, a lot of that fed into the nonprofit. But I know you also have a nonprofit.
We do.
So maybe you want to talk about, the nature and the origin of your idea for your nonprofit.
Yeah. Well, much like you, it's very, what did I learn from my child with autism, right? And what could I contribute to make life better and more impactful for other people? And so our nonprofit is called BeeFree Bakes.
Yep.
And it is an autism job training center. So when the idea came from, well, I always knew when I created BeeFree, I always wanted it to be something more than just a food company, than just a product you can buy off the shelf. I had big, and I still do have big, high dreams and hopes and goals for it. But I wanted it to be more meaningful than just a product that I sold on the store shelves. And so I just didn't know what that looked like. I just didn't, but I always knew there was something. There was something bigger here. I just don't know. I just need to be open, and I need to have my eyes and my ears open along the way. And hopefully it will develop. And it did. When our son was looking for his first job, we got a front row seat at some of the additional challenges that are around people with autism and employment. And it was then that I was like, oh my gosh, that's it. That's it. That's what we can do to help support our community. Because number one, we have a warehouse. We have a business that's located right here in our backyard. We need employees. Like, we need people to work in our facilities. And why shouldn't some of those people be people with disabilities? Why shouldn't part of what we do serve our community and show people that, disability or not, you can be a valuable part of our community and earn a paycheck and be part of a community? And so that's what we created. It was a training center, is a training center. And our training program is called Warriors at Work. We're looking to tie in the word warrior mix with our product into our program and have it be an empowering kind of words that help people connect with being strong and powerful, even if they don't feel like it every day. So, so that's what we have, a 10 to 12 week training program that meets 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, for 4 hours each day. And we really work on very basic skills, a lot of things that people take for granted, like how do you have an appropriate conversation with your coworkers, with your boss? How do you sign in? How do you, advocate for yourself? We work on basic things like that, self-confidence, all those things. And then the actual skills that are needed to perform work. And this is not just like a workshop that has, these are things you're going to practice. This is a real life working warehouse with products that we sell across state lines. So we have very high standards. We have guidelines and regulations that we have to meet. So as they're learning, they're practicing real life skills in a real life environment. So that's a little bit of what sets us apart from some other training programs, is this is real life, and the things that they're learning and practicing and building, they can put that on their resume and transfer to a real life job outside in our community. So, and also because of the work that we do with BeeFree, we have relationships with retailers like Kroger, Costco, Meijer, that all have stores in our backyard. So that's where some of our people are being placed, into some stores like that. So we're partnering with those corporate retailers to then provide workforce for their team as well.
Okay. So, and how many people do you take on at a time? Because you said it's a 10 to 12 week program.
So 12 is where we max out. So what we've had so far is like between 3 and 5. So each session we're building, a little bit bigger class, but still is very hands-on. So we're looking to start a new program in October. Our next session starts early to mid-October. So we're filling our roster right now. And so each class we hope to get a little bit closer to 12. But it's very diverse. So there, our trainees are working in 3 different environments. So they're working one day here in our warehouse, learning things that could apply to any back of the house retailer, like any store that has a back room that has inventory in it, or an Amazon fulfillment center or a Walmart fulfillment center or anything like that, the skills that we're building here on this day would feed into those types of jobs. And then we have one day where we work on food service, and we award certificates as well too that are nationally recognized, like ServSafe. So if you come out of our program with the ServSafe certificate, you're ready to walk right into a food service facility.
That's great.
So whether that's catering or a food truck or a restaurant or a Starbucks coffee or anything that's food service related like that. And then our third component is we partner with a hotel. We're working on skills that would be needed to work in a hotel, whether that's housekeeping, front of the house, back of the house, food service, any of those types of jobs.
That's exciting.
So, yeah.
Hopefully your idea rubs off on some other businesses as well.
That's the intent. And that is kind of like another part of our business too, is that we're not just teaching this for us to keep inside. We're teaching it to share with others. So we want to share with other businesses who are interested in doing something similar, or somebody who just says, oh, so I need, XYZ employees. It seems like you have access to people who have come out of your program who are already trained. How do I have access to those people as employees? So we're working like that, but also we have a book of business too. So if we're an open book, so we're looking at how, after we get this really developed here in Noblesville, how do we take it to different cities across the state and have transplants of Lawyers at Work training programs in other parts of the state that come with all the guidelines, right? Of how do you put it together? How do you build this program? How do you initiate it and keep it going? And then let's go across state lines. So there isn't any reason why this program can't be accessible and impactful in every state across the country.
This is just how my brain works. So, not like you don't have enough on your plate already.
Are you going to give me an assignment?
I've seen a lot of certificate programs out there, and in fact, I'm actually participating myself. Anytime I come across something that I'm like, that's interesting, and then they offer a certificate, I'm more likely to participate.
Okay.
And I had this idea while you're talking. It could be really valuable to just individuals, whether they're getting ready to start a business or maybe they're, a tier of management in a business, but they hear you speaking and they see value in this, and they're like, I wonder if I could come and they could train me and get a certificate to show
like it.
They've come to your program.
Right.
They've been here with your people. They've seen how it works, how it functions, that it's successful. And then now they can kind of be a mini expert in their business.
And take it back to their place of business. Ooh, I like that.
Like I said, not that you don't already have enough stuff to do.
Right. What's one more?
I think it would be valuable.
I think that it really aligns very nicely with what we're already doing.
Just a little sidestep from maybe
I like that.
a quicker entry and a cheaper way to achieve to achieve that goal, that mission quickly.
Right.
So
yeah.
If you could just sidestep for a little bit, still working on that larger vision,
right?
Getting these bigger institutions in different states. Like I said, it's just
good. I like it.
I like it. I would take something like that.
Okay.
As an example, using myself as a guinea pig,
right?
Being that I'm already participating in some other things like this, I could see the value in it.
Okay.
And I think they'd be willing to pay for it too,
right?
Because it's valuable knowledge.
Sure.
That they could then take back. And, we all need more allies in this game.
We do.
We need more skin in the game.
We definitely do. And, you made me think of the whole idea that sparked this Warriors at Work program was sparked by Randy Lewis who was one of the VPs of Walgreens.
Okay.
He has a son with autism. And many, many years ago, he was looking at what will happen to my son? How will he thrive? Where can he work that will support him in his own unique ways? And so he had created, so he had this whole vision of, but his son was at the center of it. Like, how do I create a life for him that will also serve other people? And so he was able to create a special warehouse for a Walgreens warehouse distribution center that spoke to the unique needs of his son and other people like him. But it still had to hold the same high standards as the rest of the distribution centers across the country. That was the only way it was going to work. It was the only way he was going to get Walgreens to buy into it. And he was successful. He wrote a book about it. He came to Indianapolis.
What's the book called? Do you remember?
Oh, I don't. It's on my desk. I'll have to get back with you on that.
Yeah,
it's a good one.
All these little tidbits, we can always put in the notes. So
Yeah.
if
Okay.
interested, I try and put things in there.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I've drawn a blank.
Hey, we can't remember everything.
I read the book. I went to meet him, and he wrote his personal cell phone number on the book that he signed for me, and it was really, I just never forgot it. I never forgot that there was if one person can go out of their way to create a life for their child that would impact so many hundreds of thousands of others, people then started to move. They heard about this. They moved from other parts of the country to live there in North Carolina so their child could be part of this workforce. And so I'm like, okay, if Randy can do it, like, I don't know anything about this, but I can learn and I can be inspired by other people and I can then gather allies around me, right, to help support what I'm doing. And then we all just support each other and we all get better and we live better, healthier, thriving lives. That's what we want, right?
Yeah. Well, I think I have a lot. I have many, many thoughts. But one big one is something that I've noticed a lot. It doesn't really work. I think, that 80s mentality of crack the whip and just get as much as you can out of everybody and until they're exhausted. That, I think, has kind of hit its threshold. And autism has always been around. Autistic people have always been around. There were times whenever they were put in institutions and hid away and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
None of these things worked. None of these things benefited the community or the greater society. So now we need to be having deeper conversations of when we have these warehouses and programs and things like that, how do we maintain it? How do we maintain the humanity of it? That, maybe someone needs a few extra minutes or something like that. Maybe they need a break. Maybe they need to wear headphones or something of that nature.
Yeah.
Does it really affect you? Is there really a negative effect?
Right.
Or can you just be open-minded enough to just give this person or these group of people just a few things that they need to function better?
Right.
And then what will be your output? And I am very much of this thought that if we just cater in these small ways, the output is better.
It is.
The services are better.
The
products are better. Treating people like humans and individuals on a larger scale benefits everyone.
You're right.
So these type of things that you're teaching,
Right.
there are some CEOs and executives that would greatly benefit from a shift in mindset of all these people have value. There's something for everyone to do.
Right.
That being a human being, there's more value in yourself
Right.
than production power.
Absolutely. And you can have both. I truly believe, I think that's what you're getting at too, is you can have both.
Yeah.
You can be human from the core and treat people with value and respect and love. And you can also have the highest output. It's possible. Randy Lewis did it. And, a lot of the things, those were a lot of the he gives very detailed examples in his book of how he put this program together. And one of the other things he did was he put a book of play together. And and so a lot of his book is what we've taken as a template for what we're doing because it was successful. And I just truly feel like the majority of the ideas that I've had and the things that I've put into the world are other people's ideas that I put my own thumbprint on.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And so, so a lot of this are ideas that he already had. But one of the things he talks about in there is, headphones, having a quiet space, having a buddy. They had a buddy system, right? And the majority of these things, they didn't cost the company anything, nothing, or very minimal. But the output was so much greater, and it ended up being the highest outputting distribution center in the whole company. And so it's having that expectation. It's raising that bar, and for our son, looking back on his young life in school, so many times there was a ceiling that was put over him. There was an expectation that was put on him. And every single time that expectation was put on him or the ceiling was placed on him, he blew it off every single time. So it's just like having that mentality that let's not do that.
Right.
Let's not set the bar low. Let's maybe not even let's them set the bar.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's have the expectation held to the highest extreme.
Right.
And then let's see what can happen when supports are given, right?
Yeah, well, I always say basic human decency costs you nothing. I always say that. I'm notorious for saying it. I've been working since I was like 14. I also think that's a very Midwestern thing. It's like,
it is.
Get out there, contribute to society. So I've had the opportunity to be around a lot of people, and you're a perfect example of a good leader who uses a skill set that they already have to benefit society. So you're not just benefiting your son, you're benefiting your entire community. You're willing to share this information. Like, we need more leaders like that.
Yeah, we do.
I mean, humanity is a team sport.
It is. And I think things that you're doing, like this podcast, is a great way to help convey that to people. That let's join forces and learn from each other and build each other up. But if we don't talk about it, it never gets any better.
Right.
It never gets real, So I appreciate you, opening the conversation and having those conversations that aren't always easy, that people don't always want to hear. But it is what opens the door and makes us better as a society.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, this is just my small effort of trying to make a difference. And the goal long term is to provide about as many examples as I can conjure up of real people doing real things to show people, hey, like, we have options. There are a lot of people out there doing a lot of things. And like you said, pool all these people together. Like, I probably am going to share a few references with you of different people doing things that are a little bit more like-minded like you. Because you're right, like, we have various levels of things that people are working on. Right. And, combine all those minds and all those, thought structures. You just never know where that may lead. Right. And if you can create an environment that flourishes for these people, because like we said, we're going to be gone one day. And I think we share that. Our biggest fear is when we're gone, what happens to our kids?
Right. Right. I think there's a great sense of calm that comes when you can see your child or adult child, because they're always our children, right? Whatever age they are, when you can see that they've reached independence, they've gained independence, and there's just so much peace in that. And I can say that I feel very, very confident that when I'm gone, my child will be okay. He will be okay because, he has overcome a lot of things. He's gained independence. He's working, living independently. I know that's not everybody's end story. It's just, I'm full aware of that.
Yeah.
But when you can see that you've helped equip your child with the skills and the independence necessary to live a life that they're proud of, that they contribute to.
Yeah.
There's so much peace in that. And so, part of what I want to do is be able to help be that that glimmer of hope for other families who haven't quite reached that yet, that there is a pathway to feeling that peace and to your child being able to gain some sense of independence and what does their life look like.
Yeah, I mean, as you're talking, all I could think of was survive and thrive, because it's not good enough to just survive. You need to thrive.
Right.
And I think that is the worry part, right? It's like once we get past, like my kids right now, they're still in diapers. We're working on potty training. I know that the world will be bigger for them once they're potty trained. So that's my challenge right now.
Right.
So that's, among other things, like that's a hurdle of independence. And I think we have those various bearers of independence as we're working through. And the goal is always, how do we survive and thrive?
Yeah. How do we get to the next, what's next, right? But I think it's also really critical to not think too far down the road.
Sure.
I think we all get into that, like, oh my gosh, will they ever get married? Will they ever live on their own? Well, let's just break it down. Will they ever be able to cross the street?
Sure.
And not get hit? Right? So, there was when August was getting ready to go to college, that was my biggest fear. He wasn't real aware of his surroundings.
Yeah.
And wasn't really automatic looking both ways before he crossed the street, and yet he's going to college.
Right.
Away from me. How will he survive? But he did.
Yeah, man, it is I don't know how any parent does it really. Parenting is hard. Step parenting is hard.
Yeah.
Parenting special needs children is hard. It's always this balance, right, of finding that sweet spot where, you don't want to smother them. You want to make sure they have their independence, and finding the people that you can put in their path.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be you, right? Like, I'm always in this journey of finding as many people as I possibly can that can be a positive influence at some point.
You're smart, right?
My children's life, where it's like, hey, if something happens to me, or it's just good if they bring a fresh perspective. Like right now, I'm on this journey essentially to gather as many like aunties and uncles as I can from various backgrounds, because it's important to me that my children are culturally aware.
Right. You're smart.
That's something that's important to me. I think it's valuable.
Right.
So, I know they're kind of limited sometimes being in Indiana at what they have access to. And, all of our journeys are different. That might not be important to everyone.
Right.
I essentially strive for my children to be world citizens because I want them to be able to travel. I want them to be able to experience food and culture and music and like all the wonderful things that life has to offer.
I want to be your kid.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, you're doing such a good mom. You're such a good job as a mom. Well, you are.
Man, I don't feel like it most of the time.
I know, but I'm here to tell you.
I have an objective.
Yeah, I'm here to tell you. You've just the vision that you have for your children is so special. It really is. And not everybody has that. Yeah. So your kids are lucky.
Oh, thanks.
To have you as a mom.
See, did I tell you that I started a travel company? I don't know. See,
why not?
See, but as we're talking about things, like that's how my brain works. And I'm like, what skill set do I have? How can I contribute? And, speaking about world citizenship, I was like, that's in my wheelhouse. And I realized, there are people that don't travel. They think they can't, or they have a hesitation, or they don't travel far. And I'm like, that's something I can help people with. Just try. It can be low scale or high scale, but just trying to encourage people like, this is something that your children need access to. Of the many skill sets that you're giving them.
Right.
Even if it's, okay, like we don't normally go on long car rides, but we're going to try and take a longer car ride. Doesn't have to be Connecticut. Right. But just finding ways that you can introduce travel to your kids, because I feel like there's a beauty and majesty that comes with travel that you can't replicate.
Agreed.
It's just impossible. Like you guys going to Vancouver, you sought it out. You took your children, right?
We did not.
You didn't?
No.
But did you think about taking them next time?
Yes.
See?
For sure.
Yeah. So even like in the small ways, or like maybe you don't take the kids at first. Maybe you go and you try it out. And then that spark in your mind of like, I wonder if I can do this.
Right.
So that was the whole point of this travel business, is I'm like, more people need, in a similar light like you're talking about, more people need to be exposed to these people. Right? Like you need to see more autistic kids in the airport.
Yes.
To get people familiarized with like, hey, little Bobby over there has headphones. That's not a big deal.
Exactly.
Little Susie, like the parents are on a dead sprint through the tarmac because Susie's like full sprint to the popcorn stand. We're like,
right.
People need to see this to normalize it.
They do. I feel like we're making baby steps in that, in those areas. But also, right along those lines, a lot of the airports are doing a really good job with support for people with autism, for families with people with autism, because they see the value in that too. They're like, we want all the families to be on our airplanes, walking through our airports, traveling, experiencing different cultural elements of our world. And then also at the same token, venues are, some of the venues are doing a really good job too of having a quiet room. We have a new one here in Noblesville. It's called the Arena at Innovation Mile. Okay. They have a quiet room.
Nice.
It is beautiful. I mean, the coolest thing is that if the door's open, and actually has a glass door, so you can have it open or closed, you can still see the arena. You can still see the basketball game going on. That's because they thought of all of it. Of adult changing rooms in there. So they're really, really paying attention to how do we be inclusive? How do we make it easier for families to get out of their own four walls and be part of our community? And it all starts with conversations like this, right? And then councils like the Noblesville has one. All of our, the whole county has a council for disability, advisory council on disability, for that very reason. How do we include the people that are staying home because they don't feel safe or they don't feel comfortable to be in our community? And that's just not right. And so Noblesville and other communities have taken a stance on that and said, that is right. We want you to be part. Here's how you can do it. Let us know what we can do as a community to make things easier and more inclusive for you, and we'll do it because we value you. So I think the more of those kind of things that start popping up will make even, stronger progress in that area of inclusion.
I was on an interesting call the other day. I think the ARC put it on with two politicians, and they were talking about the need to have inclusion to represent disability in politics.
Okay.
And I was like, they're really onto something there, because it's important. I mean, I think now in general, people have gotten comfortable seeing people in wheelchairs and crutches and wheelchair ramps and all that sort of thing. Autism, Down syndrome, whatnot. How are people going to get used to it if they don't see it? But what a powerful example for these type of people to lead, to show people, hey, look, we're here to represent the voices of a varied community.
And it's so much more impactful and authentic when it's coming from a place of someone's own experience. My son is a really great example of that. He works for us. He's one of our team leaders for our training program. But he also has a job with Janus Developmental Services.
Nice.
He is a person with a disability serving people with disabilities. So just think how that plays out. They connect with him, right?
Right.
On a different level than you or I could. It's not a real place of understanding, right? But he is a person with a disability taking people with disabilities out into our community, giving them exposure and experiences. And that's just, I just feel like it's his superpower, right? And so if you can transfer that to our government, our places of authority, I hope, you asked me what my hopes are, for some of our trainees. And my hope is that, in addition, that they get the respect and they get the seats, right? They get the seats at the table that are people that are making decisions for how their life is going to be lived out or not lived out. That I hope that we make space for people at the seat with disabilities that are, get to be in those conversations of the, the policies and the procedures and all those things that are being made for them. They should have a seat at those tables.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned it, because of earlier parts in our conversation. I wasn't sure if you were aware of that phone call, because I know you're busy. I barely kind of made it. I heard about it last minute, but I was glad that I was on it.
I bet. I'm sorry I missed it.
Yeah, but if I hear about another one like that, I'll let you know.
Okay.
But yeah, I thought, especially right now, there's real value in that type of conversation, because at the end of the day, where can we make the deepest impact?
Exactly.
And, I'll share a little bit with you. I don't know if I told you this, but I also recently got diagnosed with autism.
Okay. You did not.
I don't lead with it a lot because I don't want it to seem like, oh, hey, here's this person that's doing all these things. And then, oh, here's this stamp. So sometimes I don't mention it. But I'm also trying to figure things out and thinking, it's good to have the conversation, because there's a lot more moms, especially right now, that I'm hearing of, that have small children and they watch their kids and then they're like, I did that. Pretty sure I did that.
Oh,
So you have more moms now that are getting what they call late diagnosed, or they're like late diagnosed high masking. And basically that just means, you've been living your whole life, you've been functioning, everybody thinks it's fine. And then maybe there are little things, cute, quirky things. Like for me, I always had extreme anxiety.
Okay.
Managed it. I figured it out. Probably not great at all times. But after I had kids, man, my anxiety was like through the roof. And it's interesting. There's something about after children.
There is. Being a mom changes you.
Yeah. Not just mentally, physically and all that. But yeah, I think all of these things that we're talking about, especially with leadership and being authentic, representing and all that, I'm going to start to get more comfortable sharing that.
Okay.
Because I think it's valuable. And
agreed.
For those people that are wondering, or they're like, oh, should I go get tested? Because I had all these thoughts. I'm like, should I not? What's the value in it?
Right.
I didn't get diagnosed until I was 42.
Okay.
So I was like, really, what is the value?
Right.
And at the end, I decided it might have value to my children.
Sure.
Knowledge
is power.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was like, why not? So at the end of the day, I decided to do it. And I think that needs to be part of my advocate wheelhouse now.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. Because it is your superpower, right?
Well, I think it adds clarity to how my brain functions. And for other people that might function in a similar path.
Right. You're opening that up to whatever.
Not crazy. Maybe your path is okay.
Yes. Yeah, of course. And then also for that, theme that keeps on popping up in our conversation of not being alone, not feeling like I'm the only one.
Right.
Right. So
I just think there's so many stigmas behind all this stuff.
There is.
And but right now and the current state of things, I think it's an opportunity for those of us that have certain skill sets to step forward and bring legitimacy, validity, encourage people. I've always thought that in America, diversity is our superpower.
Yes.
The more people that come in, the different cultures, the different languages, it actually makes us stronger. And we need to keep rolling with that.
Yeah, it does. You're right.
We need a colorful table, just like a colorful plate.
Yes. Amen to that.
We always, colorful vegetables on your plate as possible. I think we need to see that in politics.
Variety.
In our community.
I agree.
Because when you have complex problems that come in, sometimes you need complex answers.
You do.
And I think you get that from a diverse group of people.
I agree. Being open, to different thoughts and ideas is important.
There's a certain creativity in that.
There is.
And I mean, I'm seeing that even in the things that you're talking about with your family.
Mm-hmm.
Just think about it. You've got multi-generational, you have disabilities, you had children that had different issues.
Yes.
And look at all you guys have accomplished with one family.
Yeah, right? Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
Well, I think we've hit it all. Was there anything that you would like to mention that we didn't?
I don't know. Like we talked about a lot.
Yes.
That's all good stuff.
All right. Well, I always ask people near the end, if they don't get anything else from this conversation or, at the very end, if you want them to walk away with something specific about you, like, who is Jen? What do you want to be known for? Like, if you had to pick one thing that you really want to resonate with people, what would that be?
The word that comes to mind is joy and being joyful in all situations. I have a practice in my daily life where I have a journal. I write these 7 things every day, the same 7 things. And it's a kind of a mantra, but it's more of a, this is who I am and this is how I see my life unfolding.
Okay.
And one of those is I am joyful. So I write it in like present tense. This is who I am. This is how I carry out my life. And one of those is I am joyful. And so it sounds so simple and kind of corny, but that is who, at the core, I want to bring joy to people.
I think it's good. I like it. I think the world could do with a little bit more joy. It's probably perfect timing, really. Well, hey, thanks for coming. And if you ever want to come back on, we'd love to have you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm sure, as updates come, as your programs develop, if you ever want to come back on and talk about it.
I would love to. Let's do it.
Sounds great. Well, thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time then. We are at a pivotal point in American history. We do not have the luxury to remain silent. Programs are disappearing every day. We hope that this podcast raises awareness and sparks a sense of advocacy in you. We all can make a difference. The important thing is to start. See you next time.